Okay, I told you, YouTube pals, YouTube guys, I would, gals, some gals out there. Uh, but anyway, the gals do things better than we do. But anyway, I wanted to get on here. I'm on my daughter's tablet. I've never used one of these before, but my phone is so pitiful that you can do like a 1 minute video and it locks up because it has no memory, and I have 0 apps on it. It's just a cheap phone. It starts off with a small amount of memory, then it takes so much of it just to run it that you don't have any memory left to do anything with. I can put maybe 1 app on there, like Flickr, so I can upload pictures that I take to something online. But anyway, I'm already 1 minute into this. I want to tell you what happened to us, what's going on. We had this bad weather report come up, and if this stops recording, I'll make a second one. But this bad weather report come up, and for Indiana, where we live, and it's was like tornado warning right away for all night. There wasn't any build up to it. Like, the storms gradually became worse. It became a thunderstorm and then a thunderstorm warning. None of that. They just flat came out and said tornado warning. So I stayed up all night last night, and about 4:30, I guess, I went on to bed. I was up watching the radar, and these storms were just passing one after another. And so it looked like the closest thing to us was like down in Arkansas or something like that. It was tracking this way, but if it hit us, it was going to be a long ways off, so I went on to bed, and about 40 minutes later, myself and my son and my youngest daughter all got woke up at the same time, sounding like our house was being destroyed. I mean, it was the worst thing I'd ever heard. So I have my oldest daughter lives downstairs in the basement. It's finished, and it's like an apartment of its own. And my grandson lives down there with her. She had to get a divorce, unfortunately. But anyway, sorry I'm so boring and keep dragging this out. But so she screams up the stairs because she gets a warning thing going off on her phone about tornado. Well, we live in a real small town, and the tornado siren's like a block away, and this is the 3rd tornado we've had in this is the 4th tornado we've had in 16 years, and they all came the same track, the same path. Anyway, 5 years ago tomorrow, oddly enough, will be the anniversary of the last one that came. And if you look on my channel, I believe you'll see that one is I have recorded under, it's called Unwelcomed Visitor, where we stand on the back deck. It sounds strange, but it was calm, it was sunny, and we watched this huge tornado pass by our town. So you can go check that out. But anyway, so we went down into the basement, up against, in one room down there that's up against a cement wall. Everything comes from the west here, of course, and goes northwest, really. We went down there, and we stayed down there because another round of storms was coming through. And anyway, try to cut to the chase. I'm already 5 minutes. We were without power. We've been without power all day, and since 5:30 this morning, and we were told we wouldn't get power till 11:30 tomorrow, and it just came on like 5 minutes ago. But this is a side note, but I always wanted to build one of those rocket stoves that you see on YouTube. So many designs of rocket stoves, so you'd have an emergency way to cook food and heat water, sanitize water. But I never have got around to that. But I'd like to do that sometime. But anyway, I drug out the old camp stove, the old Coleman camp stove, and I cooked, me and my daughter, because they canceled school, and the other kids went to work and college, but we cooked breakfast, lunch, and dinner tonight on the camp stove, and I did it out in my garage with the door open safely, ventilation. But anyway, so that was interesting, and as everyone knows, I've been without a vehicle to drive, and the old truck's really the closest thing I have that would take a few $100s to get on the road that I could get going where I'd have transportation of my own. My engine went out of my son's car, and he's been having to drive my Tahoe for like the last 3 to 4 months. So that leaves me here, which I don't need a car really, but my youngest daughter needs picked up and taken to school. But anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, tonight I drove into town to Walmart to get medications after my daughter got home, which gave me about 30 minutes of daylight. So I looked around town and looked probably 5 to 7 miles out of town, and I'd say there's no house anywhere that is without damage, and trees and debris everywhere. It's a mess. And I don't think the tornado actually touched the ground, but it came through here. But this is the first time it's done this much damage right around us. All the other times the tornado came through, it was a few miles up the road, and we barely knew that we had any damage in this area. But big trees, a lot of damage. There's still people out now, which if I was able like I used to, I'd be right out there going 110%. But they're out there working now, trying to put tarps on their roofs and everything they can do, and using car headlights and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I got pounded all day by these companies coming by, giving me estimates on damage, just one after another, and that kind of thing. So I've never had to deal with that. But anyway, we're doing fine. We ate. The refrigerator held up fine. The ice is still in there, good and solid. It didn't melt, so even in the amount of time we've been without power. So I thought I'd share this little story with you. It's an interesting day for sure. And I'm sure there's more I could say, but I can't think of what it is now. The other issue, I use a pellet stove to heat for us, and it's down in the 30s. And the wind has been like 50 mile an hour plus nonstop the last 15 hours. It is just really terrible out with the wind. But anyway, at least now we have the electric back on. I already turned the pellet stove on, so we'll be warm tonight. We've had several offers from people we know around to come into town where they're at and stay with them, but we were just going to tough it out for the night. But now the heat's back on, so we're good. And I think I'll cut this off. I'm 10 minutes. Oh my goodness. Goes by fast, doesn't it? Okay. We'll see you guys. Have a good one.